Welcome back to 13C. We're here at the Big 3 East event in spring of 2016, and I'm here with Scott from Whack Outdoors. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. First of all, it's a pleasure. Glad you're here. Appreciate what you're doing. A fan of your channel. It's awesome. You guys check his channel out. Obviously, you're watching this video. Give him a like. He's awesome. Again, my name is Scott Moore from Whack Outdoors. We provide training in all things concerning archery, survival, and preparedness. I basically run an archery boot camp that is a 1-day or 2-day affair where we start with the basics and we teach folks how to choose the proper archery gear, how to set that gear up properly, how to shoot that gear properly, and then we discuss hunting strategies, how to set up for that close effective shot on a game animal, and then we cover tracking that game animal. And the clientele that we appeal to is anyone that's just interested in getting started in the bow hunting. But more specifically, we live in uncertain times, and the preparedness community is growing daily. And my YouTube channel, Whack Outdoors, has attracted the attention of the prepping community. And to meet that demand of folks contacting me for training, we have developed our archery boot camp that we run. We also run several survival and bushcraft classes where we again just teach the basics of fire, shelter, water, navigation, some preparation before the trip. Our most popular training that we do is for the ladies. We have a Wilderness Awareness for Women class, which is the class that fills up first every time. And I do that class in conjunction with my wife, Kathy. And we are just very proud of the groups of ladies that come to us wanting to assure that they feel more confident taking that walk in the wilderness with their children.
Very cool.
And that's basically what we're working with. And the camp we're sitting in now, I do teach what I would consider modern survival skills, but we complement that with primitive living skills to fill that gap when you get caught with just not much to work with. And I would like to think that with the two added together, we provide a very well-rounded training program that leaves people in pretty good stead to enter the wilderness and not be caught unaware or unprepared.
That is awesome. So I see you've got a few things set up here. This has caught my eye here. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, I tell you, you know, the survival genre is so popular right now that your everyday fodder, so to speak, with survival techniques, whatever, I try to bring some things in and bring things along that aren't just everyday stuff. I have some friends that are missionaries and have spent quite a bit of time in the Philippines, and the Filipinos, one of their most basic building materials that grows everywhere is this bamboo, and that bamboo becomes a very good container to cook in, drink from, steam food in, or whatever. And just because it's something people don't see just every day, I just bring a few pieces of bamboo with me and show them. And actually what I've done here is, earlier I was making primitive bows and arrows, and I don't have it out here with me now, but I was cooking, I was melting down pine sap, and I had some ground up charred coal from the fire and was making pine pitch, and I was using that pine pitch to put some arrowheads on some cane arrows, and I was using that as a vessel. Matter of fact, if you want to pull one out, there's nothing wrong. Those are strips of sinew that are still in there wet, and I was using the pine pitch to glue a stone head onto the cane arrow, and I was using the sinew that I was soaking as the binding to put that all together.
That is really cool. That is neat. I'll make sure I put some pictures up of some of the close-ups of this, but that is fantastic. And looking at this, I remember from my Boy Scout days a little bit. You made this arrowhead yourself, right?
A friend of mine made that one.
Okay.
I am a flint napper, but flint napping is not my forte. I leave that to folks that do it a lot better than I. I am a bowier and I am a arrowsmith. I make arrows, and I make arrows out of anything and everything we can get our hands on. Same with the bows, the quivers. I'm pretty much the archery guy. And really, even as far as the survival training goes, I delve more heavily into the weapons and the tools that can be made out of what's at hand. And to be honest with you, there is a learning curve there. That's not something that you can dabble in and realistically turn out an effective hunting weapon. But there is a growing number of people that are truly interested in really immersing themselves into the hows, wheres, and whys of traditional and primitive archery. And for anyone interested in that direction, I spend a lot of time teaching them how to make archery equipment, and even atlatls, spears, primitive stuff that isn't a wall hanger. You know, we use this stuff. We effectively hunt with it, procure game for protein and nourishment, and I spend a lot of time in that area of the primitive endeavor, if you will.
Gotcha. This is, while he's talking, I'm looking at the fletching on this arrow, and that is just fantastic work. You guys will see on the channel, my daughter, or at least Instagram, at least I'll post pictures sometimes of her shooting a bow, and she's taken it up. It's not really my thing. I've kind of learned what I've learned just so that I can kind of help teach her. I've luckily had a couple friends who are big into archery that have kind of pointed me in that direction to be at least enough kind of supervised. But this is quite impressive. So I've got to say that is. And,
I appreciate that.
Getting back to the preparedness thing for you guys, I know we don't cover a whole lot of that here on the channel, and I think from some of your feedback, we're gonna probably start getting in more of that. Doing things, you know, whether you picked up seed or whatever, that's awesome. But you've got to learn how to do this stuff ahead of before you need to count your life on it. You have to learn how to do that, because I mean, just trying to grow some stuff in the backyard. My first attempt, not at the new property now, but at the old house. You know, I mean, I think out of all the stuff I planted, all I had was maybe I yielded 5 radishes, and that was about it. There's some fantastic radishes, but I mean, other than that, nothing else made it. I mean, you know, it either got eaten by creatures, or it just didn't grow right, because my first time, I had no idea what I was doing.
Well, it's, you know, it's a wore-out phrase. You know, proper prior preparation prevents poor performance, right?
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you what, you know, a lot of people are interested in what I do, and a lot of people are seeking this training in survival, and they're always wanting to know the specifics. What exactly are we going to learn? And truly, with what I teach, the specifics are there. We're going to cover the bases, but I feel like really what I teach as an instructor is how to alleviate fear and trepidation. Because when we find ourselves in that circumstance that wasn't planned for, and all of a sudden we're lost, or we're going to spend the night in the woods, or we've twisted our knee and we can't return to the vehicle and nighttime is looming, if your immediate response to that is just fear that shuts you down and leaves you unable to function, you're just done out of the gate. And if we can cover some of the basics with folks and let them know that there's some really simple things we can do to provide some shelter from the elements, get a fire going. You know, I always say, if you have you have fire, shelter, and water. If you have 2 of those 3, you are no longer surviving. You're camping. It's just kind of inconvenient for you.
There you go.
And you know, the mindset is a part of the training that really is the most important. And I do a lot of historical interpretation. I do a lot of historical living events where we portray the long hunters from the 1700s, and those men went out on these long hunts, you know, hunting deer and hunting bear, and they had a firearm, they had a good knife, they had a hatchet, they had a fire steel and a wool blanket. They didn't have a whole lot more, and they might be out in the field for 7 weeks, 14 weeks, 7 months. And what we would consider a crisis was another day at work for them. So the only thing that's different is the mindset. So we spend a lot of time getting people kind of leveled out with that concept of being in the woods, being out overnight. I really believe what kills most people is get-home-itis. I mean, they're not prepared to be in the woods. They went on a day hike, they get lost. They feel like if they don't get back to that vehicle before dark, the world has ended.
Right.
So they've been on a trail all day. They've never left a trail. But the second they try to get home in a panic, they're crossing rivers and plowing through brush and just get themselves in a pretty big jam very quickly. And our goal is to make sure that they would feel comfortable if they had to, just taking a seat, taking a breath, and making some preparations and just spending the night and getting a better start in the morning.
That is awesome. That is very cool. You guys definitely have to check out his channel and his information. I'll put all kinds of links down below as well to check those out. Your temporary shelter here behind you, it's been here since the last Big 3 in October, so it's 6 months.
It's been here 6 months. We left it partially finished so that folks could see the construction, but this thing is solid as a rock. You can't move it yet today.
Yeah.
And if we had to, we could furnish it out with some fresh palm fronds and sail right back into it.
Yeah, that is very cool.
And I will tell you, we have shelters that we built on our home place, but I spend more time on because we teach and instruct there. I have shelters that are 4 years old that we're still using.
That is very cool.
It absolutely does the job.
Very cool. Now, as far as your WAC WAC Outdoors, that actually stands for something. I know you generally don't get into this sort of thing on the channel. I really don't get into it much as well. But you know, I noticed that small print on your shirt, and you know, so I talked to you a little bit earlier, just briefly. So WAC stands for
Wild About Christ.
All About Christ.
Wild About Christ Ministries is a ministry that I founded about 9 years ago, and we take people into the woods. We do outdoor adventure retreats.
Before we go any further, I just want to say I know I attract a lot of people, and I am as libertarian as you can get on anything. You know, Penn Jillette and I would probably be best of friends. So this is not something that's normally part of the normal curriculum or anything. But you know,
sure.
if it's something that you want to get into and explore, I'm just putting that out there for you guys as some things. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to kind of preface that a little bit. I may not have done that well. So,
but in a nutshell, we provide a way to reach people for Christ that would never darken the doors of a church. You know, and I would never say that going to church is a requirement to be squared away with our Maker.
I would agree with that completely.
And I think that being out in the wilderness and having that experience is much more appropriate and much more in line with the way things happen in biblical times.
Yeah.
And you said you noticed a small print on my shirt.
Yep.
That does say 1 Corinthians 16:13. And that says, be on your guard, be firm in the faith, be men of courage, be strong. What man can go wrong with that thought in their head?
You cannot. You cannot. And you guys have seen my Psalms quote on some of my stuff there. You know, blessed be the Lord, my rock, who prepares my hands for battle, or prepares my fingers for battle, my hands for war. So,
exactly, and that's the verse that's on the receiver of the Crusader firearm.
It is from Spike's Tactical,
absolutely.
And the guys over at Spike's Tactical are fantastic as well. So very cool. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we go?
Man, I'm just glad you're here. I'm glad we got a chance to visit.
Sure.
Check the dude's channel out. He's awesome.
Thank you. And likewise, and where are you based out of? Where you do most of this again?
We are based in Iva, South Carolina. We are up in the triangle where South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia meet.
It's a nice area.
It's a beautiful area. We've got the Savannah River right there. We've got backwaters of the Savannah River, some islands. One of our retreats that we do typically, we paddle canoes out onto an island, set up hammocks, camp for the night. We put jugs out, catch catfish, cook them on the fire. I promise, on my word, as a man of honor and integrity, if you come give us the opportunity to give you that experience out in the wilderness, it'll be a life-changing experience. You'll never forget it, and we'll take good care of you.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Thank you again. I appreciate your time, and thank you for coming out here. This has been awesome.
It's awesome.
All right. Stay safe, guys.